Hello everyone, in this video we will learn in detail about how to create a chart out of monthly sales, planned and achieved data, and also how to show the future projection through a dotted line in the chart. We have this monthly sales data of a company from April 23 to March 24. Each month the planned sales in this column and against which the achieved sales of the first 6 months has been entered in this column. So for the remaining 6 months, the future projection sales data is recorded in this column. This is the column for the final expected figure. Now we have to present this data through a chart in Excel. How do you do that? Two types of charts are possible. One is the monthly chart that will show you the month-wise planned sale and against that the achieved sale of that particular month. And another chart that will be possible is the cumulative curve of the planned sales, the achieved sales and the future projections, in which we will show the future projections with a dotted line. So for preparing the first type of chart, that is the individual month-wise planned versus sales achieved, we need to just select this data, go to Insert, click on the column chart or bar chart button, and there are options of 2D column, 3D column, 2D bar and 3D bars here. If you just point your mouse pointer on the options of 2D column, you will see what type of 2D column will be possible with this data that you have selected. Same for the 3D columns, 2D bars and 3D bars. It appears that 2D column or 3D column will be the most appropriate type of chart that we will want to generate from the data that we have. Let us click on the 2D column option. As soon as we click on the 2D column option, one chart is generated by Excel. You can see the first columns of each month belongs to the first column, that is the planned sales. The blue columns are the planned sales of each month. And the orange column just adjacent to it is from the second column of the data, that is the achieved sales of that particular month. You see, after September 23, the orange column is absent and one gray column is there, which is the future projection. Since these sales are blank, so this space is also blank, and against the blue column, gray columns are created by Excel which represents these columns. You can format color of these columns. You just have to select this, go to format, and from here you can change the color of the columns. You can change the color of these columns also, and when you select orange columns, it will select only the data pertaining to the achieved sales column. You can change the color of the gray columns and give it any color that you would like to. Now, the only problem with this type of a chart is there is a gap in between planned and the future projection data, since the achieved sales data is 0 or blank for these remaining 6 months. So to avoid this issue, select the chart, go to the chart design option, click on the select data option, click here, select the column of the months from the table, press the Ctrl key and hold it, select the planned sales column, press and hold the Ctrl key and select the final expected column, which is the sum of the achieved sales and the future projections. Hit enter and hit OK. Now you see there is no gap in between from the months of October to March 24. But another issue is that now you cannot segregate whether any column belongs to the achieved sales or the future projections. That you can do manually by selecting any individual column and changing the color from the format option and give it a separate color. Just like this. You can edit the chart title. Month-wise sales data, individual months. There are a few features that you can add to this chart. Like you can right click on a particular column and add a trend line over there. So this is the trend line which represents the trend of the month-wise data with time. By default, Excel shows you a linear trend line, and if you want any other kind of trend line, you can select it from here. For simplicity, let us click on the linear trend line and close the format trend line dialog box, and you can see this is the trend of the data. This trend of the data can be helpful if you want to predict the future projection of any data. Here we have the data for the entire financial year. So from here, if we increase the number of months, this trend line will provide us a prediction of the future data that we will see in another video. Also, by right clicking on any color of column, you can add the data levels like this. So for each individual months, the data of that particular month is now shown on the top of the column of that month. Similarly, you can do this on the other color of column also. Here the data is a bit clumsy. So you just select any series of a data. If you click on any number, then it will select all the data levels of that particular series. After clicking that, go to format data level by right clicking on it, and you can change the position of the level to avoid clumsiness and have simplicity in the presentation. From the axis, if you select it and right click on it, you can go to the format axis option and you can change the units. There are two types of units in a chart. One is major unit and another is minor unit. Here only the major unit is shown, that is starting from 0 with an interval of 500, it is going up to 3000. You can change the minimum range, the maximum range, the major unit difference and the minor unit difference. Like if I want to change it to 4000, I will write 4000 here and hit enter, and you can see that the upper limit of the bound in the chart has become 4000 from 3000. Similarly, you can change the major units. Here it is 500. You can do it 1000 or any number that you like, and the major units will be changed as per that interval. You can add one minor grid line here in between the major grid lines. You can select the axis and right click on it and click on add minor grid lines. You can see that there are the minor grid lines here whose color also you can change from the dialog box on the right side. Reduce or increase the width of the grid lines. Also, you can select the major grid lines from here and you can change the color as well as the transparency, width and compound type and dash type from the options on the right side. Now we will see how the second type of the chart can be created from this table, that is the cumulative curve from the beginning to the end of the period that is in discussion. Let us create a copy of this data to another sheet. We will now delete this chart. We are making some changes in the data of the chart for showing you the cumulative chart to have a better clarity on the representation of the data. To see the cumulative chart, we need 3 additional columns: the cumulative planned, cumulative actual, cumulative future projections. To get the cumulative planned data of April, this will be equals to the planned sales of April. For the month of May, it will be cumulative up to April plus the month of May, and we will now drag this till March 24. For cumulative actual, the data for the month of April will be equals to this, and the data for May will be cumulative up to April plus the achieved sales of May. Now we will drag this up to September because we have actual sales data up to September only. For the cumulative future projections, for the month of October, we will have the cumulative figure up to September plus the future projection of October. For the month of November, it will be cumulative projection up to October plus projection of November, and we will drag this up to March 24. The only trick that we have to do is we will have the same data of cumulative actual in the cumulative future projection also for the month of September, so that there is no gap in the chart. Now that our data is prepared, we will select the month column, the cumulative planned column, the cumulative actual column, the cumulative future projections column, these 4 columns, by pressing the Control key and holding it. Go to the insert option, and from here we will click on the scatter charts and we will click on this option. You can see one cumulative chart is prepared by Excel, which we need to modify a little to represent correctly. This we will change cumulative sales data. You can see that the cumulative actual value is represented by this orange line and the cumulative future projections is represented by this gray line. Now we will select this curve, right click on it and click on Format Data Series. We go to the fill and line and we will change the dash type to a dotted line. We can change the color from here. Also, the thickness of the dot is possible to change from here. We can change the format of the other lines also from here. We can increase the thickness for a better visibility. We can select the axis from here and change the color for them also. It is better to have a lower width for the grid lines. You can change all the fonts of the axis, the legends and the chart name. Simply you have to select one item at a time and go to home, and from here you can change to any font that you like. You can change the color of the font as well from there. Now it is a chart well representing the data that we have over time. We can right click on the curve and add the data levels. You select the data level, right click on it, click on Format Data Level and change the position of the data level from here. So same for this also. We have to do it twice because these two curves are representing the separate columns. One is the achieved sales and another is the future projections. Although it is looking like one single curve, and up to this period it is showing the actual and for the remaining it is showing the projection. You can observe one thing, that all the months are not displayed in the x-axis. So what you need to do is to select the axis, right click on it and click on Format Axis. Mind it that every month or date has a numerical equivalent. So for April 23, you can copy it and right click on another cell and paste value. You can get 45017. That is the numeric equivalent of 1st April 2023. We will have the lower bound of the x-axis 1 month before this date. So this minus 30 is 44987. So here in the minimum of the bound we will keep 44987, and for the maximum, that also we have to get from here. So March 24 is the last date. We'll copy it and paste value in one cell, and we will have the maximum bound of the x-axis 30 days post that. So this date plus 30 is 45382. We will go again there and like 45382, and what we need to do is change the major unit to 30.42. What is 30.42? It is nothing but 365 divided by 12. All the months are now present in the chart starting from April 23 to March 24, and all the points are exactly on the grid lines. So it makes a beautiful cumulative sales data chart with actual data for a partial period and the future projection for the remaining of the period. If you have any query, you can ask in the comment box. If you have liked this video, share it with others and subscribe to our channel if you are new into it. Thank you for watching.